Hi everybody, Dan Illman here, kicking off a 50-cent late pick 5 at Santa Anita on Friday with race number 5. This is the $100,000 Blue Northern Stakes for 2-year-old fillies going 1 mile on the turf. Let's take a peek at this field. I found this to be a very competitive race, and one of the keys to this race is the number 3, Chatelas, a horse that is a grade 2 stakes winner on the dirt. She won the Chandelier in gate to wire fashion, and since then she's been running in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies, she's been running in the grade 2 Starlet Stakes. She has faced good competition on dirt. Now we'll see what we get on turf for this daughter of Gun Runner. She went gate to wire in the Chandelier. We'll see where the Timeform US pace projector has her, and lo and behold, they think Chatelas can make the front once again. And if she is able to back down the fractions to her liking, and if she's able to take to turf, she's going to be very dangerous. That's a lot of ifs, though, for a filly that figures to be a short price on the tote. April Vintage is stretching out off of 4 consecutive 5/8 of a mile races. She has shown sprint speed. I would expect her to be up close. Blue Oasis, the number 4, I think is more of a stalking type. So I think Chatelas is going to get out there, hope that April Vintage doesn't push her too hard. Chatelas should be in the thick of things turning for home, but again, demand value. Hattie T is the number 1, a horse stretching out off a debut victory over the Tapeta surface at Golden Gate Fields. Here's Hattie T scoring in likable fashion. Rarely see a lot of these 2-year-olds rally from off the pace to win first time out. Many of them are simply just speedier than their rivals. Hattie T did it, and she stretches out with the pedigree to handle a mile. She's by Force the Pass, a first crop sire with limited data with turf runners, but he was a good turf horse in his day, and Hattie T's broodmare sire, Big Brown, certainly could sire a turf horse as well. It's all about class for Hattie T, who's taking a big step up in this race, and she'll be a good price. If you like her, I won't talk you off of her, but she's going to have to prove herself against a good field. Antifona is the number 2 for trainer John Sadler. She ran 4th in the Jimmy Durante last time out behind Zona Verde, who's also in this race. Like many European imports, she didn't break very well. She pulled hard in the early portion. The pace was just not fast at all. Zona Verde had everything her own way up front. Antifona was saving ground at the back, tried to get into it with a 4-wide bid in the stretch, and all in all, for her first start in North America, she ran very well. She might get a better pace scenario this time around, and I think that this horse, who's very battle-tested for a 2-year-old, isn't out of it at all. The 3 is Chatelas, and we talked about her in the open. She looks like the speed. She looks like the class. The question is turf. Gun Runner wins 10% with his turf routing progeny. The dam was unraced on the turf. She has foaled 3 turf runners. None won. One finished first in a race on turf, but was disqualified. The second dam, however, was stakes-placed routing on the grass. Frankie Dettori is going to pick up the mount on Chatelas, who's going to be forwardly placed. I'm not sure I want to take a short price on a horse doing something for the first time, which will be running on turf, but her credentials are fairly obvious. Blue Oasis is the number 4. They ran her in the Jimmy Durante last time out. She didn't run up to par. Again, it was a race where Zona Verde controlled things up front. Her race 2 starts back, where she was placed first by disqualification, was pretty good. I'm not sure she's the best closer in this race, however, so while she might get a better setup, I think she still has some things to prove, especially from a buyer speed figure standpoint. She's going to need a boost. Highlands is up next, 2 for 2 in her career, including this victory, and a $50,000 starter allowance going 1 mile at Del Mar. She didn't break great, but I just like what she's done in both starts. She was super impressive in her debut at Horseshoe Indianapolis, rallying from well off the pace to win. They found a really good spot for her from a class standpoint in here, and she won comfortably yet again. I'm not going to really focus on her buyer speed figures of a 62 and 68. These 2-year-olds can improve by leaps and bounds from each and every start. The way she's won her 2 races, that's what I'm focusing on, and she has looked good in both of those races. I won't be surprised at all if she handles this rise in class. Zona Verde is up next, and boy did she receive a beautiful ride from Juan Hernandez last time out in the Jimmy Durante. She broke from the far outside post, and by the time they reached the opening quarter mile, she had cleared to the lead, to the rail, and she didn't have to go fast at all. And then she got a breather down the backstretch, a half mile and 48 and change. Zona Verde Saturday might have been aided by the way that race was run, but she still kicked on strongly in the stretch to beat 3 of these horses. She has shown versatility, winning her North American debut from off of the pace, and while she might be off the pace this time around, she probably won't be too far out of it. She's in very good form, but keep in mind, that big Beyer speed figure last time out, she had a really candy trip that day. Maduro is up next. Let's watch her debut for Peter Urton. This is a daughter of Honor Code, winning from well out of it, going 5/8 of a mile. And as you can see, she's kind of in and among horses. She shows a lot of class, I thought, and professionalism for a young horse to win like this. And it was a respectable 72 Beyer speed figure. Being out of an English Channel mare, you'd have to think a mile isn't going to be a problem at all for her. I think she fits this race very, very well. And she's another one. Didn't take much money in her career debut. Taking a step up in class and distance, she might offer some value. I'm really interested in Mo Fox Given, who ran third against the boys in her first start for Leonard Powell, and then last time out, the Jimmy Durante, the race we showed with Zona Verdi's replay. This trip didn't work out for her at all. There was no pace, as I mentioned. She saved ground near the back of the pack, and turning into the stretch, she split rivals, and just as she was about to commence her run, a horse on the rail came out and sort of impeded her a little bit, and then she was over and behind horses for the rest of the stretch drive. She really never got clear, but she finished well with a strong gallop out, and I think she's dirtied up from her 2 races. Against the boys again, 2 back, tough trip last time out, and a horse that I think is a little bit more tactical from a running style standpoint. I think Mo Fox Given's going to give a strong late kick at perhaps a decent price. April Vintage completes the field. We're expecting her to be close to the pace, and Peter Miller is going to train April Vintage, probably to try to get up close to the pace with Chatalas in here. She's by Vino Rosso, which makes you think that a mile at least is going to be within her scope. And the horse she ran against last time out, the horse that beat her, came right back to win a stakes race at Turfway Park over the synthetic with a 74 Beyer. So she's faced strong competition. She earned a stakes placing against males 2 starts back. I'm not sure I love the idea of her being used early to push a quality horse named Chatalas, and then all of a sudden, let's say she gets the better of that horse, has to hold off the closers. I'm not sure that trip is the greatest, going a mile for the first time, but this horse does have a little bit of promise. We take a look at my top selections for the Blue Norther. I want to give Mo Fox Given one more chance. I do feel like last time out she was going to run a little bit better, and I think she just got stopped at just an inopportune time. Take in that and the fact that there was just no pace for her to run at. I thought she actually ran pretty well, and she's going to get a little bit more to run at this time around. I'm going 8, 6, 2, and 7 in the $100,000 Blue Norther at Santa Anita on Friday. Good luck.